Hi, thanks for joining me today and welcome to this training session on Nexonia and how to do everything from adding a new report to adding receipts to your report and submitting to your approvers. So first off, we will go ahead and log in, and so from the login screen you will use your company email address and you will use a password that you will set up yourself when your login is generated to you from Nexonia. After logging in, you're going to land on the home screen and you're going to want to go over to the expense tab on the top left of your screen. So from here, it's going to load you into this area called unfiled expenses. One really important thing to note is that you do not need to submit any items through the unfiled expense tab. Due to how we have configured our instance of Nexonia, if you load any receipts using this upload receipt button, they will get stuck in here and you will not be able to move it from the unfiled expenses onto your expense report. So just beware of this part of the system, that where you want to go is right next to the unfiled expenses on this report tab. So once you click on reports, you will see a list of any reports you have created in the past. Now, what I want to start off showing you is how to add a report and how to get transactions on there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come right up to this big green button that says Add Report. And once you click here, you can give your report a title. So I'm going to name mine June 28th, 2021, because this tells me what report time period this is for. And I'm going to go ahead and pick the date from the date drop down as well, and I'll make it match. Now, something to note, if you are a person who submits for other card holders, you can actually use this drop down menu and choose their name from the list and add a report for them. I'm going to go ahead and click save and you'll see a new report get generated. Now from here, it took me straight into the expense report, but one of the things I want to show you before we really get to the details of the report is also how to delete a report if you create one by accident. So right now, I just created this report. If I need to get rid of it, I can use one of two methods. One is I can click this action button and click the delete right next to this report. Or if I have more than one report to delete, I can click off checkboxes and I can use the action button at the top of the screen and delete these as well. Now there's a few other things you can do also with these actions you can read through. You can click off it. This is a method you could submit reports. You could recall a report if you submit it and want to pull it back and change something. You can even download PDFs or CSV if you like those as well. Now to open a report, you can see I'll use one of the reports I've previously created. You can either double click on the line item of the report, or you can click right here on this code number. Now what's important about this code, this is the report ID code, and this will be useful later when we email expenses into Nexonia. This will become the subject line, would be 1012, and that's how it knows what report to attach the receipt to. And I'll show this to you in just a bit and how Nexonia helps you to start off those emails. I'm going to go ahead and click on the report to open it up, and from here I have a few options. Now what I'm going to start off doing is I'm going to add from card transactions. One of the things that we have done with Nexonia is we have imported all of your credit card feeds straight into the Nexonia, so as you purchase items, they're going to start showing up in Nexonia for you to add to your reports. Now one important thing to note is just how the credit card system functions is that when you make a purchase, your credit card vendor first marks that as a pending transaction, and that pending status can last from 1 to 3 days until the credit card merchant like Visa or MasterCard settles out their accounts. So during that time when it's pending, the transaction will not show up in Nexonia for you to add. After it is moves from pending to a paid status with the credit card merchant, then Nexonia will sync that transaction over, and that happens at midnight each night. So if it cleared this morning at 8 a.m., it won't show up available for you until after the sync runs at midnight. So I'm going to come in here and add from a card transaction, and it's going to show you a list of each transaction on my credit card right now that has never been added to a report and that is cleared with my credit card merchant. So You can see the few items I have. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one for $5.99 just to show you one of them. And so what you'll need to do is pick a category, which is your expense type. So this particular purchase I know was from Fax Plus, which is a dues and subscription item. And I'm going to go ahead and code out the project to general operations. Now, at this spot, you might be wondering, well, where is location and department? Because I'm used to coding to those. So what we have done is for any people that commonly submit to just one location or a specific department each time, we've went ahead and coded that to your account so that that's a default for you. So right now, I don't have to fill that in because the system already knows that I almost always submit to central support location and to the business administration department. So I'm going to go ahead and click create, and you'll see it now is going to let me fill in some details about this expense. Now I've already filled in the category. You can see the transaction date, the receipt, yes or no, and this doesn't mean I have a receipt, this means the receipt is required. And then you'll see down here some more details. So here's the location, department, project, purpose. These are already filled in, like I said. So it knows my default location and department. Now, you'll note these are in red, and that's because they are required transaction fields for you to fill out. And then lastly, you'll see the memo field. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is we will always want to make sure that y'all put in a very good memo. A good memo doesn't mean it has to be a long memo. It just means it has to be descriptive of what you purchased, so that if anybody came in here and read it quickly, they would have a good idea of what you bought. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to delete this first section. I'm going to put Fax Plus, because this is the website, and I'm going to put monthly fax line subscription for April. And next I get to add a receipt. So I'm going to click on add receipts, and I can choose to upload a receipt, which is functions just like you'd think. You can go choose a file in your system and click OK to add it. You can choose to fax one, which I've never done this method, but if you click on fax, it will give you instructions and give you sheets and ways to do it. So that'll be a fun one if anybody wants to give it a try. Let me know how it turns out. You can also use emails. So this could also be a common method. So if you click email, it's going to give you some instructions. And the easiest thing to do is there's two options that are blue hyperlinks. One says send to this report, and one says send to new report. You'll want to do send to this report, and it'll ask you if you want to use your default email client. So I'm going to say open Outlook, and it's going to start off a new message for me, and it's going to have receipts at nexonia.com already filled in for my to line, and it puts the subject of 1012. And this is the important spot I noted earlier, that is the report ID, and this is how Nexonia knows what report to attach this expense to. Once you've got your email going, go attach a file and select it, and then it will add it into Nexonia. Now I'm going to close this because one of the other things that I'll show you how to do is you can also add credit card receipts into Nexonia before the item has showed up from your merchant, from your vendor, and then you can add them later. So I'm going to say open manage receipts window, and this is where all my receipts that I've sent in are being stored until I attach them to a credit card item. So for this one, I have Fax Plus right down here. This is the one I was working on, so I can say yes, this is the one I want. We want to link that one, so I'm going to click the link icon, and that's going to link it, and I can now click close, and you'll see it's now attached to this item, and I'll hit save and close. So you'll see that one line disappears from my list. I'll hit cancel to go back to my report, and you can now see I have one line item on my report. Now what I was just showing you was this manage receipts area. So this manage receipts area is very helpful. It's an area that lets you go ahead and upload your receipts, and you can then attach them to the correct transaction on your credit card statement later. So I'll hit manage receipts, and you're going to see in here that I have several receipts, and I want to look at right now just the unlinked receipts. So unlinked means that I have not attached this to a specific line item on my expense report. So if I look at this, you'll see I have 3 in here, and one of the ones that I want to choose, I'm going to go ahead and link is this transaction for Amazon.com. You'll see that it is a $9.99 transaction. So I'm going to click on this, and I want to say I want to link the selected one. And it's going to say link to new card transaction item. So I'll click this, and then I'm back to my list of card transactions. Here for $9.99 is the correct one it belongs with, so I'll hit create. And then I can code out anything that needs to be coded. So I'll put my category. This is going to be an equipment purchase. And I'll put my general operating project on here. And then I'll make the description, the memo line, a bit better. And so I'm going to put Amazon.com in here, purchased HDMI connector for laptop. So that helps me know what this is for, and I hit save and close. And you'll see this has now disappeared from my unlinked receipts. And if I check this off, you'll notice it's still here, but now it is added as a linked transaction. So I'll close this, and you'll see I now have two line items. Each have a receipt attached to them, which you can see with this attachment icon. And these have been added to my report and are ready to be submitted. Also to note, there's an action button next to each receipt. You can come in here and delete them, edit them. You can even view histories on them and look at the history of who created it, modified it, and any other information that it has in its audit log. Now from this point, let's assume that these are the only two items for my credit card and that it is ready to submit. So I can see up here I have $15.98 as my total for the report. You would want to go to your Go to My Card account, which you can see here, log in. Once you log in, click on the Activity tab and go to your current activity and download a statement. So I'll click this statement and download it. And now that it's downloaded, I will come back to my Nexonia tab. And I can go back to the Manage Receipts, because where we're going to attach this to our report is we're going to add it as a receipt on the report that's not going to be linked to anything. So I'll just do Add Receipts, Upload, choose my file, and then I'll choose the file I just downloaded. Attach it and click OK. And you're going to see a few new items load in. So one of the things to note is if you have a PDF that has more than one page, Nexonia will break each page up separately. And you can even, if you have some pages with just useless information like this back page, you can click it off and click the trash can delete icon to remove it from your report so it's not cluttering things up. So I'll get rid of that one, and then now I have my report attached. Now, as always, you will need to make sure that the total in your report matches the total of your expense report. And so if those two match, then you are ready to click submit, and it will submit it off for approval. Now, once it's submitted, it's going to ask you if you're sure you want to do that. I'll say yes, and then you're going to see it adds an approver box and shows you that it was sent to Brittany Hoffman for review and approval. She will review the report. If there's anything with errors, she can actually reject a single line item back to you for you to correct and resubmit the line item, and it never kicks it off the report. It keeps everything attached to the report as a whole. And at that point, you're ready to click close, and you can see now that I have some different statuses. So this report is in approved state. This is the one I had last month. This report that we just have created is noted as submitted status. That's the blue arrow. If for any reason it gets rejected, it'll have a red arrow that faces off to the left. And then you can also have a pending status when there is some accepted items and some rejected items on your report. So that is the basics of how to create a report, add your expenses to it, and submit it off for approval. There is also a mobile app with Nexonia that works for iPhone and Android, which you can download from your Apple Store or your Google Play Store. For those, there are some short training videos that Nexonia has put out that I will attach in the notes to this video so that you can have reference of those. I highly recommend you watch those videos so that you know how to use the mobile apps as well. The process is the same, so you would add a report. You would then click on transactions and add transactions that come from your credit card onto a specific report, and then you can attach receipt pictures and code them out on the phone. So you can do all of these functions on a mobile device or iPad as well, whatever your preference is. If you have any questions, you can either reach out to myself or to Brittany Hoffman, and we'd be more than happy to help you with any training items needed. Thanks. Have a good day.